Hello everybody, welcome to this month's Coinversation. So today I am here at the Royal Australian Mint on Ngunnawal land. This land has been used for thousands of years by the Ngunnawal people for ceremony, for sharing stories, for coming together, for living. And so I would like to acknowledge that in the Ngunnawal language before we start. Darawa Nuna, Darawa Nunawal. Yangu Nalawiri, Duni Manyin, Nunawalwari, Dawawawari, Ningaradindi, Wangarali Jinyin. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. My name is Sarah. I am the Public Programs Officer here at the Royal Australian Mint. You would have seen her face very quickly there for a moment. That is Georgia. She is on tech, our digital officer. She'll be monitoring the question box and the chat box. So if you have any questions as we're going, pop them in there. We are going to leave them all to the end, but you can pop them in as you think of them as we're going through, and Georgia will be going through those and coming back at the end. Today I am joined by coin designer Aleks and the product and project development manager Matt, and we are going to be talking about the historic change of effigy on our coins, as well as the beautiful Change of Monarch set that came out last couple of months ago, a month or so ago in February. So Aleks, can you tell us a little bit about what you do here at the Mint and some other projects that you've worked on?
So I'm a senior coin designer and sculptor, and I'm here for just over 12 years.
Amazing.
And yeah, working in a coin design studio, designing the concepts for the coin designs and producing 3D models for the coins. And yeah, I came here 12 years ago from Italy. I was trained in a school for medallic arts for the coins and medals. Which is the unique school in the world for coin design. And yeah, always my dream was always to come and work for the Royal Australian Mint. And yeah, 12 years ago, my dream came true.
Oh, that's amazing. And now you have been working on the project for the King Charles change of effigy. And what were your initial thoughts and feelings when you were given this task and this project?
When I was told that I would be involved in the project, I was happy, but as well it is a really privilege for me to be involved in the project of that kind, because the change of the monarch or the change of the overseas doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
And because it is working on a model that is going to be used across circulating and uncirculating, actually on all the products, it is a really huge work and unique because it doesn't happen very often. So I was excited and privileged to be involved.
Oh, yeah, it's a huge privilege, I can imagine. And so what was your role on this project as a designer?
Yeah, as a designer, I had to work on a layout. So the portrait and the model was applied by the Royal Mint in England. So my involvement as a designer was to create a layout, decide on together with my team and with the product developers to actually choose the best font for the layout, balancing that as well. There are some differences in this project and with the change, because as well in the words. So on the previous subverses we had Queen Elizabeth, which as a word and the number of the letters it was taken more space than the King Charles. So it was creating that layout and the balance between the empty spaces and between the portrait, but as well working together with the engineers and the R&D team on finding as well what is the best position for the text and the portrait that will work well in a production in the combination with all the reverses we have.
Oh my goodness.
Especially for the circulating coins.
Yeah, wow, there's so much involved, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit there, but can you take us a little bit more through that process of getting the effigy of King Charles onto our coins? Like what, is, for me, I was like, it's just a matter of getting a picture and getting it on the coin. Like what is actually involved in that?
Yeah. So yeah, it's like it sounds easy, but as well, it is not easy at all for the reason because that is the model or a design that has to work across all the different denominations and the different type of the products, circulating, uncirculating, or commemorative. And as well, the product or the model that has to work on a different presses, which is as well really important, noticing that we are using circulating presses for our circulating coins, and the models for them are very different to the collectible one. So yeah, that was finding the perfect balance between the design elements, the portrait and the text, but as well working on a technical specification, which are the heights of the relief, which means, or maybe the depth of the relief, how deep it is, how prominent it is on the coin, and how far away certain features are from the rim, and yeah, as well how sharp they are, and yeah, which heights we will apply to the relief that will bring as much detail as it possible to all type of coins.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. As I say, like I didn't realize there was so much technical aspects in doing that, you know, and I think it explains why it maybe took a little bit of time for it to happen as well. So it's so cool to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. As well, I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Because as well, another thing, we in Australia we have two type of circulating overseas. So one without denomination and one with denomination. So it is as well actually creating two design layouts. The one for our circulating coins without denomination, and one for the coins that will have the denomination on the overs.
Okay, wow, that's really cool. And our last question for you is, this is more out of my curiosity, is the first coin that we saw in circulation with the new effigy was the $1 coin, and that was released towards the end of last year. And hopefully people are seeing that in their change. I haven't been lucky enough. But do you know why this denomination was chosen over any other?
There probably many reasons and many answers, but from my design perspective, I do believe the $1 was most suitable to start with, or in all the trials and all the testing, because it is a design that is kind of a standard in the mid-size, somewhere in between the smallest one and the biggest one are in circulation. So it was like kind of between, and was probably the one, the mid-size to work on, and the one that will like is the balance between the smallest and the biggest.
Yeah, no.
And as well, 50 cent as well has a particular shape. So would be the probably the best one, and secure one was the round one, and $1 to start with.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, I think like the gold kind of looks a bit more impressive. I think to go out there and get those nice shiny gold coins into your change is pretty cool. So,
yeah,
amazing. Thank you so much, Aleks. Like, yeah, as I say, it's news to me how much is involved in kind of making those coins and making it work. So now we're gonna have some questions for you, Matt.
Sure.
What was it? Product and Project Development Manager. That's quite a long title.
Up until yesterday.
Up until yesterday.
So I was acting in the role, but I've come back to just being one of our product development officers.
Okay.
So I'm one of the many product developers in the organisation, and our job is to develop, find, discover, explore all of the ideas of what we can commemorate on a coin. So obviously we have the circulating coins, the standard circulating coins that go into circulation. And then from there we can occasionally have a commemorative coin that goes into circulation. The coloured $2 coins are a really good example of those. And then from there we then go into our collector, or the non-circulating coins, or the uncirculated as we call them. And from there we have a whole range of things that we can do. We also then develop the beautiful proof coins in both base metal and the precious metal. And then there's also teams that work on the big corporate jobs that we do with Woolworths and Australia Post that go through their tills. And then there's also investment coins that we develop, which is our bullion program. So it's a big team of lots of different people who are trying to find what stories we can tell on a coin.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can imagine, like, for some people, particularly collectors, that might be like a bit of a dream job, getting the say on what kind of things we're going to put on our coins. It sounds really exciting.
Everyone has a thing they would love.
Oh yeah.
You have your wombat people out there who are desperate to see a wombat on a coin. There has been a wombat on a coin. People keep coming to me and saying there hasn't been a wombat on a coin. I said there is. There is one wombat on one coin, but it's not called the wombat coin. Have a look and find it. So yeah, lots of lots of people see that idea of telling their story or a story that they're passionate about on a coin.
That's really cool. So today, we're talking about the King Charles effigy, but we're talking about the beautiful set that was released earlier this year with all of the different Queen Elizabeth effigies, and it features 5 coins with the different versions of the Queen Elizabeth effigy. However, keen collectors and trivia enthusiasts will know that there's more than 5. There's actually 6 different effigies.
Yes.
So which one is missing? And like obviously we only have 6 coins, so one had to go missing.
Yes.
So how did you make that choice?
The gold effigy that appeared on the 2000 coin, the 50 cent, was dropped, mainly because we didn't have a 7 coin selection to tell. So this is actually the Change of Monarch, which you see on the screen now. The Change of Monarch set is actually part of a really big, long story that we've been telling. So back in 2019, we did a collection called Effigies for the Ages, or I'm not 100% sure, but it's basically, it was when we introduced the Jodie Clark, which was the last effigy of the Queen. Now, unbeknownst to us at that stage, that was the full set of all 6 of the effigies used of Her Majesty released into circulation in Australia, both in pre-decimal and decimal currency. Particularly, it wasn't ever produced on decimal coins into circulation. So that was that part of the story where we were commemorating Her Majesty's reign. This Change of Monarch is obviously our chance to say things are changing. There are things that are afoot, but the legacy of Her Majesty, you know, let's be honest, we will not see in our lifetime this many coins with the one monarch on them. And then it's a chance to have this new effigy by Daniel Thorne of King Charles, His Majesty, on that. And then obviously moving forward, then the future year sets, whatever the themes will end up, they will have King Charles effigy on all 6 coins. So we have a thing of the program that we're telling it, the mechanism we're using are year sets. We don't have a 7-point year set, so we have to make a decision to drop one of the coins. And the Gotwalt was decided as, not because of any disrespect to Gotwalt's design, it was an amazing design and was chosen by Her Majesty to appear on that single coin, but because it only appeared once, and it was a very special commemorative program for that particular coin, we had to make space for King Charles. So that was the decision, or one of the reasons.
Makes sense. Now, most of these effigies have not been used in regular production in many years. So how do we go about producing those? Do we use historic dies? Do we have them in store? Like, how does that work? Bringing those old ones out and making them again?
So dies are not normally kept. So dies will then be destroyed once they're used, or they'll be worn out. There were the master tool. So this is the at size positives.
Yeah, but as well with the new technology. So maybe in the past, like if those old versions would be used and there is an existing tooling, it would be used. But now with the new technologies, even if we have, which we should have, it's probably better to scan and pull out that detail more than using the old tool and then creating the new tool from the old one. So it can be a combination, but like if we with the technology we are available today, it's better like scanning because it's more defined.
Yeah.
There was a coin we did recently for the 30th anniversary of the Kangaroo series, and we used Han's original design of that, and we took the master tool from that and scanned it, and then the coin designer used that as the base of what they were doing moving forward. So often that's now the
and that's how we make sure that everything is exactly as per original.
That was, I guess, why I kind of asked that question, is like making sure how it's the same. That's really interesting. So we've got this set, it's a beautiful set. I love the beautiful yellow and the patterning on it. So what message or story are you trying to convey through that packaging and through the display of those coins?
Well, unlike the previous one, which was about Her Majesty and that effigies of an era, and what's now being coined as the, pardon the pun, the second Elizabethan age, which was Her late Majesty's reign. This one was a transition, so it was not necessarily about either Her late Majesty or His Majesty. It was the monarch. It was the monarchy. It was the ever, so this is where we used those very obvious symbols, and that's what we've done. Aleks and I have worked on a number of royal coin promises. I think the royal wedding anniversary was one that we did. Symbolism. It's all about symbolism. We had flowers for all the different elements, so we had all the different crowns for all of the different, all of their children. So depending on where they ranked, they all got a crown on the thing. So in this particular piece of packaging, the St. Edward crown, which is the monarch symbol of monarchy, is prominently shown. All of the flowers and so forth that are shown in there are also from Great Britain, part of very similar to those keen watchers, very similar to the logo that was used for His Majesty's coronation. So all of those sort of symbols, we lean into those royal symbols that are very prominent. Bluebells, which is Her Majesty's favourite flower, appears in many designs. Wattle, golden wattle, which is our, so that will appear in most of our designs as well. So we lean into that. The royal theme usually comes with a dictionary of symbols that can be used.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a beautiful set. Like it does look very regal. When I see it, it looks very, very elevated. It's beautiful. And you've kind of touched on this already, but and you can answer this too, Aleks, is why do you think this set is so interesting to collectors?
Because very few people, I would be surprised if there are many collectors. I'd be love to know if there are any collectors who were collecting over 70 years ago when it happened the last time. This is the first time the Royal Australian Mint has ever had a change of effigy to new monarch.
And especially I have the set, and the set, the effigies from like the different years, like when they've been released, combined with the new technology. So maybe even if certain effigy was used 20 years ago, most likely that the quality of the production and the scan as a entire product will be higher quality and better than what was done 20 years ago.
I mean, it's amazing just the technology involved. I mean, there's a story unto itself as to how how each of those effigies would have been produced originally and how those effigies are now being produced. Even in the 7 years that I've been here, the difference between how a coin designer would design something and then submit the model for cutting, completely different. So, and it's just evolved. So, but I also think it's just that moment in time. We are, we don't normally like to talk about coins as a theme unto themselves for us, because we'd like to talk about the broader Australian story. But as we were discussing, a lot of people said, Her Majesty has passed. What's going to happen with the coins? A lot of people, that was the next thing they thought about. What's going to be, how are we going to do the coins? So this is a really important time. And we only ever get to do it, technically, I mean, it'll be many decades before we have to do this again.
So again, repeating, it's really unique having an opportunity to work on like changing of the effigy across all all sizes and all blanks. And especially I forget to mention even one of the challenges that I had to face in working that it's like because the effigy facing another direction this time, and so as well in combination to other our reverses, it is a change. It is a change in the volume and how the reverse and the obverse work comparison to the effigy we had before. So it's a really unique occasion.
I think so too. I think like if I think of it, I feel like this is something you could maybe only see in a museum. And as you say, like they may not, the historic coins aren't going to be in as good a quality. So for like people to be able to have that in their collection, I think is really, really special. And my final question to kind of wrap up this bit, I do have another question for the two of you, but do you have a favorite? Either of you have a favorite effigy, a favorite queen? Do you like Charles?
Okay, from Queen Elizabeth effigy, I would say Vladimir Gotthold effigy is my favorite one, and as well, this is an Australian one, and it is really special and it is really unique. On the other hand, from the sculptor, Ian Rank-Broadley is my favorite, so that would be his effigy would be as a sculptor would be. So it is really hard to pick up one, but if I can, I would put those two. And that definitely we have now King Charles. I don't know if it will change again, but for now, that is it. That is the probably if I can pick up one will be the third one. But those are my favorites.
Amazing.
It is really hard because they're
It's like choosing a
They all
favorite.
all favorite song, you know. so
Yes.
Well, mine is very specific to a couple of years actually. So, Jodie Clark, mainly because of all the jewels. I'm very much a glitter boy, so anything where we can do that. And for those very keen collectors out there who have an opportunity, if you've got one of these sets in your collection, or if you get an opportunity to have a look at 2021 and 2022 gold and silver year sets, they let me have full play in the sandbox. Our engravers and DPS instructions, and this is the team that do all the polishing and all of the frosting, so the matte and the polish finishes on a coin, were allowed to go full belt on these sets. And so there was just a beautiful combination of polish and frost. It was very complex, difficult to make. They hated me done. But all of the effigies of the Queen, so the Jodie Clark effigies of the Queen, she is all matte and frosted, and then all the jewels are polished, and so she glitters like never before. So I was a little bit disappointed that there was no crown. But they are, if you get an opportunity to see those, they are beautiful examples of the engraving, of what the engravers can do. So yeah, great fun.
We'll see if we can find a photo of them somewhere in our archives, and we'll pop them maybe on our social media or something. So we'll have a little bit of a hunt around, because I think I'd like to see them myself. Yeah, we can see if we can pull them out of the vault and get some photos if we don't have any. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I think it's really cool seeing that progression. I was saying to Georgia that I was looking at each of them one after one and just seeing the progression of how she ages, and yeah, I think it's really beautiful to see. So I've kind of two questions from me to finish off. This set demonstrates it isn't the first time we've had a change to an effigy. We've had Queen Elizabeth, her late Majesty, changing a few times, and you were both working at the Mint during the last Queen Elizabeth change. How does this idea of changing an effigy affect the Mint?
Technically, it is a huge endeavor, as Aleks was as described earlier. I think what a lot of people don't understand is when you change the design on a coin, technically there is the thing, and I'm very blunt. I mean, I'm only a beginner in this, so please excuse me if I'm using a technical term. If you think about making a coin, you're striking a coin with the two negatives, the two dies, the obverse and the reverse. When you strike it, they think of the metal of the coin becoming liquid, and so it needs to form into those negative spaces. You've taken an effigy of a lady with big hair and crowns and jewels and shoulders and changed it to a head and no shoulders, and you've taken away a lot of the words, so a lot of the text. So we've changed the complete shape of that obverse. It just takes so much trying to get that right.
Yeah, and it is different than when designing the reverse, because when we design the reverse, we already have established obverse, and we have the position of the portrait, we have text, we have volume, we have cards. So there is something we can relate to. But with the change of the obverse, there are so many reverses that are all different, so that obverse has to work across everything. So that is actually finding one for everything. While you're designing the reverse, it's actually like just one design on already established image. So yeah, it is really, really challenging. And as I said, like it is changing. It is not just a change. It is a change in the direction. It is a change in the volume. Sometimes it can be shoulders, no shoulders. And as well, we have so many sizes, not even mentioning the mini money.
We go from a half-gram gold coin to a kilo silver, which would be the largest coin.
Yeah, wow.
So we are talking about, besides denomination, besides cost, we're talking about a huge difference in volume and just real estate between those two. And the effigy has to be technically the same on both.
Yeah, and text being readable on the small one, and like all the details have to show up on the 11 mil one as well on the 100 mil. So finding all that balance across all the many sizes and blanks, that's what is affecting everything. So it's a really
huge endeavor.
And then the other issue you've got is just different metal types. copper, nickel, and aluminium bronze were chosen for particular reasons. Some of that is not their coinability, but sometimes that can become a problem. Silver and gold are obviously much softer metals, so they're much easier to think, but there's also problems with that. So everything we use, even though we only technically use 4 types of metal, a lot of work just making sure that they form correctly.
Yeah.
Particularly to the different things, like, you know, you want your proof coin to be absolutely perfect.
Yes. And have you found, like, being here, seeing both of those, like the last QE2 Queen Elizabeth II change, and seeing this change to His Majesty King Charles, have the two processes differed greatly in terms of like what needs to be done? Like you mentioned about, like, obviously, you know, you've got the hair and the crown is different, but like in terms of a project and a process.
Similar, very similar, but the difference, as I said, it's the volume, so there is not any more big hair and facing different direction, and as well less text. So the names was shorter, so it was more free space than usual. So not huge difference, but still yes.
Yeah.
And from a product development perspective, it's really that, you know, when we changed the effigy, the Majesties from the in-reign broadly to Her Late Majesty to the Jodie Clark, there was a lot of interest, there was some interest, but it really wasn't something that was, you know, so seismically, historically significant. There has been a lot of eyes on us with regards to King Charles. A lot of normally not been concerned about this at all. We're really keen to be involved in this because the announcement of the new effigy, the announcement of when it would be coming out, what denomination, all those sort of things had huge amounts of significance for the government. So there was a lot more keen. And as we all know, media interest and just the social media interest in when the coin was going to come out. So that transition from Her Majesty, the 2022 standard Jodie Clark effigy, moving into the 2023-24 memorial effigy, which had Her Late Majesty's reign dates. You know, that technically is also a different effigy, so that is a hugely collectible item to the new King Charles effigy from 2023 onwards. Then is something that will also have a keen amount of interest.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think with this change to His Majesty King Charles, is just, so many eyes, so many people wondering when's it going to happen, what's it going to look like. I can imagine that would have changed, not so much, you know, the technical aspects of it, but like definitely changed the feeling and the pressure, I guess.
A lot of times, you know, what is the last coin that has Her Majesty's standard effigy, which one has the first and last of the memorial effigies? What is the first one of King Charles? So all those things will then become very paramount as all the dust settles to the collectors, because then they will know which ones are more collectible. So that then becomes part of the ongoing collector mentality when it comes to figuring out what's really, really prominent and what they need for their collection.
Yeah, amazing. Well, that's all of my questions. I'm gonna check in with Georgia and see, have you got any questions or comments from people who've been watching for either Aleks or Matt, or just in general?
Yes, we've got a question here. Basically, how is it decided when the Queen's memorial effigy will be used, and will it continue to be used for the rest of the year?
There are a few more to come out. Basically, it's just a whole thing to do with programming and when things were finalized, when things were developed. Normally in the product development, and this is for any coin, so coin development can take anywhere from you know, a year, sometimes 2 years. So we've had coins that are 2024 dated coins in the program for a very, very long time. And so literally it got to the point where it was, okay, well, this one already has the Queen's memorial effigy on it. We don't have the King Charles effigy ready for this one because the trial is going a particular way. Currency determination is another element. A lot of our listeners, I'm sure, are aware of currency determination. It's a process where a coin is legally a legal document that then lists the coin's features, including what effigy is being used. Once that gets legislated, we don't want to go back and change that because we've got an opportunity to. So there is a progression of the effigies on coins being slowly replaced by the kings. So there were plans, originally that we would have this cutoff point, but just the way things are, it's going to be sort of more of an elegant change.
And speaking off of that exactly, there's a question just about the King's effigy, and can we just continue to expect the release of the effigy on new denominations in the next 2 years or so?
Yep, definitely. Yep, that is a plan. And as I said, we started with $1 coin because that's the one in between. And then slightly we will continue with the other denominations, and that's a plan to have all of them out. Within the
So basically, so 2024 we will start seeing King Charles rolling out on all denominations, and then on all sets and all programs, so that by 2025 everything will be King Charles.
Very good. There's a question for Aleks here. What intrigued you about metal, and what made you decide to pursue metal?
It is a good question, and okay. So it's probably started for me as a kid, but I never thought it would be my profession. So as a kid, my brother, and I was actually helping my brother, but he had a coin collection, and as a kid, I always loved to spend my free time just putting them together and seeing all the different reverses of the coins. And I remember there was one that was standing out of all of them, and it was the one that had a kangaroo on. And imagine for me, the kid growing up overseas, seeing the kangaroo, what it was. So anyway, that was my early childhood. And later on, I got a degree in packaging design. And then while I was studying packaging design, I was like, I really want something which is more three-dimensional. So after finishing the college, I went to uni and I did sculpting. And then while I was studying sculpting, one of the best material I liked to work was a metal. And then at the university, I had as well, one of the subject was a metal and the coin design, but it was just one exercise. So at one, towards the end of the studies, I thought what really in sculpting, what my specialty is going to be. And thinking about the things, and usually my sculptures was smaller rather than the big size one. And combining all of that best relief, the subject and the metal, that made me deciding to go on and proceed with the further studies. So once I completed my university degree in Serbia, I went to Italy to study specifically to the school for the coins and medals. So I guess it was all the combinations, but I think it started as a kid with all that small coin that.
And many years later, you were to design some of our most beautiful kangaroo coins. I think about all the ones you designed for us. So there you go. Circle of
It's all connected. So I've got a question here, and it says for Aleks, of all your designs, which is your favorite? And they say mine is your firefighter design.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Again, coming to a question like a favorite effigy, it is really hard to pick one. I have favorite. Definitely one of them is a firefighter for sure, and it is the coin. I really love, as a product developer, I really like to work with Matt because they always
What's about it?
So firefighters, I'm happy how they visually, how the design is. But what matters more for me, it's what that coin design brings and how we came up after with the product after what was happening. And it's actually for me the importance that it is dedicated for all those brave people that what they bring for what they did for our community. So it is it's definitely one of my favorites.
It is that emotional thing that you can get from coins, I think. The Aboriginal flag coin that you and I worked on, there was the centenary of the armistice, which we rolled out onto lots of things.
Indigenous languages.
Huge program, which a lot of people really, really loved. The Vegemite coin, we worked on the centenary Vegemite coin. There is a reason why it's one of our biggest selling year sets, besides the fact that, it was also the year that Her Majesty passed. It was an incredibly popular program. Everyone loved that Vegemite. And then, Aleks and I are talking about putting a piece of Vegemite on toast and a coin, that whole idea. So it is part of the fun, but it's often it's the emotional connection that people have.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And Matt, people were wondering if you are, artistically inclined and do any sculpture work yourself, or no.
No,
The idea is
my partner is an artist, and I have worked with lots of artists in different areas. My background is predominantly more in theatre. So as a storyteller, that idea is what I bring to it. It's really that idea of, instead of having 400 people on the stage and doing a show, you've got 3 centimeters of metal. So it's really the same principle idea. It's, you just got a lot less real estate, a smaller stage. But as Aleks and I, we talk about this all the time, there are really, really lovely ways of telling really complex and interesting stories on coins, and that's the bit that can be a lot of fun. And also the fact that coins are a little time capsule of that time. You go back and look at some of the coins that were released in previous decades, and they would not be released today. We wouldn't get them across the line. So it is interesting to see the way that Australia has changed, the way we tell our stories has changed as well.
And if I can add something, I think Matt is a little bit, he's saying he's coming from a theater background, but it is not true. He has his artistic side, which is really, really strong. And the reason I mentioned before, I love working with Matt, because he really has, and like the beauty on a lot of coins, the products we work together, it's his special magical touch at the end.
Nice little working group here of Aleks Love and Matt Love. We do work really well together. It is great fun, because we both understand what we can't put on a coin. A lot of people people come to us and say, I'd like to see this coin, and we go, you can't have it. A, because either it's not going to be allowed, or B, technically it just doesn't work. So we know what technically we can put on a coin. We know what culturally we can put on a coin, and together we work in that very limited space, both real estate wise and also just the limitations that we have. We have so much fun. We have so much fun with how we figure things out. So yeah, it's good fun.
Lovely. Well, that's all of the questions that I have. Thank you guys so much, and thanks everyone for all your questions.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That does bring us to the end of our conversation. Was there anything either of you would like to add that you really wanted to talk about that you didn't get a chance to say?
I think, look, as I said, we have a lot of fun. Aleks and I work really, really well together. We really enjoy working. Aleks talks coin really, really well. So that idea of coming to you with anything from, Indigenous languages to Vegemite, those extreme cases, it's a lot of fun. So I think, as long as the collectors out there and the people listening understand that, a lot of love and a lot of interest and a lot of discussion goes into what goes on our coins.
Yeah, and like same for me, like even as a designer, and it might sound the designer designs, but yeah, the our coins are the product of different teams. So there wouldn't be a design without the product developer, and then neither there will be a coin without the engineering, tooling, and dye polishing, packing. So yeah, it's a group work.
Team effort. Yeah.
It is a huge team effort, and I think that a lot of people don't understand when they pick up the coin and they look at it and they go, oh, I really like that coin. So many people have been involved in the manufacturing, the design, the concepts for that coin. So when you've got someone like Aleks working with you, you go, oh, this is going to be so much fun. Yeah, we really enjoy it.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for our Coinversation today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned a lot. I know I've learned a lot. Thank you to Georgia and to Aleks and Matt for coming along today. And thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Thanks, guys.